Yeah.
Hello, and welcome to this Young Director Award interview. I'm Daniel Huntley from Shots, and joining me today is Jackson Tisi, who directed the short film Leon, a piece that won gold at this year's YDA in the Passion Project category. Thanks for joining me, Jackson. How are you doing?
Good. I'm stoked to be here. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from New York. I live in
Yeah.
the West Village of New York City.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I'm in the South Village of London,
Oh, nice.
if that's what you could call it that, I guess. So congrats on the award, Jackson. But let's start at the beginning. So can you tell us a little bit about your background and your route into directing?
Yeah. So I grew up out in Wyoming, in the United States, and I grew up competitive freestyle skier. So my brother and I were pretty avid train park and half pipe skiers growing up, and our group of friends was the same. And the culture is very similar to a lot of other action sports like skateboarding or surfing, where there's always one person in the group that kind of ends up filming everyone and doing that sort of thing. And as time went on, it kind of became me making our little like ski edits and stuff. And then I just evolved into like really learning that, I actually really love this sort of thing and piecing this together. And then I went to study film at NYU in New York, and I've been here since. I graduated in 2018.
Okay.
And once I came to New York, I really expanded my horizons in terms of like the type of stuff I was making. I was really drawn to music videos and documentaries and real stories. And I think shooting action sports and shooting real things kind of led me to that. But the thing I've been trying to do and explore here is how to integrate like that authentic, real story and that real feeling with like narrative style filmmaking as well. Trying to kind of blend the two, but yeah, that's kind of how I got into it.
Yeah, that's definitely something that comes across in your work, the blending of, authentic, with narrative. I've seen quite a lot of your work previously. So what really propelled you then, to really getting down to becoming a director and doing this for a living? What was like the thing that drives you to this day?
I wish I had like a formula or an answer for that. It's been kind of surreal how it's all kind of come together, and I can't believe that this is like something I get to call is like my job and like my career right now. I feel really fortunate. But I've been asked this question a couple of times, and the only like thing I can say is you just have to make things. Like I started off making tiny ski edits on a GoPro, and then it's one foot in front of the other, I guess, right? And one project leads to the next and leads to the next, and you learn something every time, and then you can call yourself a director, I guess. To me, it just kind of all happened, and I'm still kind of taking it all in.
So Leon was entered into Passion Project category. So I really want to know, how you came across Leon Ford's story, and really, what was the reason for you personally wanting to tell the story?
Yeah, so Leon's story is unbelievable, and very pertinent right now. And a friend actually, so I do a lot of research on these before I hop in. And a friend had actually connected us in 2018 to start talking. And I didn't know much about Leon or really his story. And then Leon and I started having phone calls. So I did a film in Baltimore called Hummingbirds in the Trenches with a friend of mine, Kondwani Fidel, who's like an artist and a poet. And the same people that kind of produced that and helped me with that over at Breakout also knew Leon and connected me with him, and with no real expectations, just connected us to see if we could come up with like, just to see if there was energy between us. And then I had a bunch of phone calls with Leon, and we started talking about the parts of his story that we thought were important to tell. And to me, and one thing that I hope that is communicated in the film, because I have a very biased perspective on it, is Leon is he radiates such an incredible energy and positivity. Like he's the type of person that he enters a room and you like feel a difference in the space. And so I immediately got that talking on the phone with him, and he's just such a captivating person. And I think his story is really important. And the one thing we really wanted to talk about was his mental health and where he's at now and how he's helping people, but also how he's helping himself.
Mm.
And so that was the driving core of the film. And we probably talked for a couple months before we ever set out to make the film in the beginning of 2019.
Wow. So you mentioned he's, an intense guy. That really comes across in the footage you captured, I think,
Right.
when he's talking to the young kids. Um, how much of that was, I'm guessing it was all real footage. There was nothing was scripted, except maybe for a few inserts you put in, um, at the start. Is that right? Was it all just natural footage that was captured? And
Oh,
how
no,
long
it was
were
all,
you filming for?
yeah. So it was 3 days. It was a 3-day shoot.
Okay.
And that scene at the beginning, we set up that's something Leon does. He goes around to schools and he works with youth in Pittsburgh that have been through things and have gone through things, because Leon has been through kind of like an extraordinary trauma. And so he really has a depth of empathy to kind of speak and help people
Definitely.
through things. And he's just a mentor for like a lot of young people and kind of an inspiration. And so he does this and he goes to these different schools. And so what he was doing there was genuine to Leon. It wasn't just set up for the film. We went to a rec center and set up the chairs, and then people that wanted to show up showed up, and Leon just had a conversation and we just rolled, and it was hands off. And the only directions I was giving was to camera and what we were doing, and swap a lens, go in tight on here, like, whispering into a radio to our Steadicam operator from outside the room kind of stuff. And then the pledge that's at the very beginning of the film under the black and white footage.
I cannot teach what I do not know. I cannot lead where I will not go.
His friend, this guy Brother Malcolm, wrote that, and Leon just says that it's like kind of a mantra that he lives by, and he starts and ends these sessions with that pledge with these young kids. It's like affirmations, like very call and response. So he does that organically, and the ones that you hear there was no direction. He just started and ended with it, and then he I had him read it again for us to drop in at the audio underneath. But the way that I approach filmmaking is this, it's so delicate because you're hopping into someone else's life and someone else's story. And so I really try to be as honest and truthful. Like, it's just my job to be a window into that world and try to make it as cinematic and engaging and elevated as I can. But the story is what's most important, and keeping true to that is imperative. And so I really just let Leon be Leon and worked my hardest in the edit to convey our experience as a crew on set, because it was talk to any of my crew members, it was something we'll all remember.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredibly powerful film, and obviously the message, behind it is something that everyone can get behind, and it's something that needs to be addressed. Not just in the US, in certain communities, but worldwide. That's why it's a great film, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think that's what is, obviously police brutality is what a lot of people probably think of when they hear Leon's story. But I think the thing that really connects to absolutely everybody is mental health and taking care of yourself. And Leon went through something extraordinary, but no matter what you're going through, seeing someone as cool and kind of as strong as Leon in a therapy room was really important for Leon and I to put in the film. So because you see that, and because there's so many stereotypes around masculinity and taking care of your mental health. And
Mm.
I don't think it's, I think this film can relate to anybody. Like, I don't think it's insular. But yeah, that's kind of was the goal, at least, was to like make it something that everyone can kind of watch and get something from.
Cool. Yeah, I think that definitely comes across. Were there any challenges you faced in pulling this shoot together?
Well, it wasn't a large budget by any means, so there's always the logistical challenges. But and there were things you adapt to along the way. Like, initially, this story was Leon was running for city council
Yeah.
in Pittsburgh, and the week before the shoot, we didn't hear from him at all. He ghosted us, and we were like, "What's going on?" We were worried for him. We were, there was genuine concern there. And then we heard back from him, and he was like, I was just going through a lot, thinking about like he has like, you know, some PTSD, but also thinking about his run for city council and the enormous burden that he's taken on in supporting his community already and being there for so many people. He kind of became someone that people can go to and lay all their problems onto. And he wasn't taking care of himself as much. And so when we're in our therapy session, he decides he's not running for city council. All of a sudden the film's different. This is a film about Leon taking care of himself and making the choice to, he said something to me, and I'm going to butcher it, but it's along the lines of, in order to be a good leader, you need to be able to like lead yourself first. And you know, like leaders need to heal themselves. Something along those lines. And the sentiment of that is, I think, something that we can all agree with. You have to be a healthy person in order to kind of guide others. And that's something Leon realized in real time. And you see it in the film. You see it at the end when he puts his hands over his face and forgets to breathe. And it's you know, we just were bearing witness to, with filmmaking in this sort, I always have a plan, but it's only so that I can feel comfortable when that plan is broken, because it's always broken, and it's always broken for the best, because you're living with a real life person that their story can't be written. And so just being able to adapt to that and edit in my head and be prepared for that. It's happened on every film I've been on, but this was like a really kind of special moment of that, where I think the whole crew was really inspired and proud of Leon at the same time.
Sure. Cool. Thanks for sharing that, Jackson. Just to wrap up, you know, do you plan on working in advertising in the future, or do you want to do music videos or continue with the docs that you've kind of been carving away at?
Yeah, I like to keep my doors open. Honestly, I'm a working commercial director right now. I just got off of a commercial shoot and pitching on another one this morning. I'm doing plenty of music videos. I love music videos. Like, they're so fun. The documentaries to me are really special and powerful. It just has to be the right story, because so much time and effort goes into it. And you know, Leon and I are really good friends now, and that goes with all my like kind of films that I've pursued in that kind of passion project area, where it's got to be a really personal, intimate kind of thing. So I don't actively seek those. Like, Leon's story kind of, it happened really organically, where we got connected and everything. But yeah, no, I'm trying to keep all my doors open. There's definitely more docs down the line. I'm trying to actually get more into narrative. During, I kind of took some time during quarantine to start writing a TV show. I don't know if it'll ever get made, but I started writing some scripts. You know, I'd love to get into it all. I just think filmmaking as a craft is like very versatile. I don't want to put myself in a box.
That's the right attitude, I think.
Yeah.
You don't want to be pigeonholed. No,
Exactly.
you don't want to be, you know, you're not just the documentary maker, you know, you have
no labels here. Like, I want to be trying it all.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for taking the time to chat to me today, Jackson, and I wish you all the best in the future. Take it easy.
Thanks so much, Daniel. I really appreciate it.